Okay, so just very briefly, just about the what the running order would be for between now and 7 o'clock. Right. So I'm going to we're going to start off, and I'm going to give a presentation. Um, Kind of go through step by step. I'm going to show a few examples of mapping projects that I that you know about that sort of illustrate the possibilities of what maps can show. Some international examples, and then I'm going to talk about the go through the work that we did with Collaboration for Change. Where what stages is the Collaboration for Change map at, right? Um, After I've done that, I'm going to pass you on to Colm. So Colm Massey is here from Digital Commons and Solidarity Economy Association UK, and he's going to be making a presentation about the mapping work that they've been doing. Some excellent mapping work over the last few years, and we're hoping that we can sort of collaborate with each other over the coming a year or so. So um, I thought, yeah, I let me see where what to next. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen, and I'm going to talk you through a few examples of some international maps. So I'm just gonna do that. Um, oh, yeah, yeah. Just a moment. There's, okay, okay. You should be able to see this is the Collaboration for Change map. You can see that, okay? Yeah. Um. All right. So I have a link here I want to bring you to. So so just so do you see the SocioEco website there? Yeah. Okay. Great. Okay. So SocioEco is a resource website. It's an international resource website on the social solidarity economy, and one of the it's connected with REPES, and REPES is an international network for solidarity economy. They have they have groups in Europe, Asia, in North America, South America, and Africa, and so REPES have been quite involved over the last 10 years in trying to make visible these other economies, or transition economies that and projects that are happening all around the world. And so I'm just going to just briefly uh, show you some of the maps that are here just very quickly. So it can be quite impressive, right? So one of the things that when you sort of zoom out and you realize, wow, we've got a global map here of movements, right? This is people all over the world at the at in towns and cities, rural areas as well, organizing everything from like cooperatives community-led social care, ecological projects, all kinds of stuff. So what's, oftentimes, it's very often that, as we're involved in local projects, it can be hard to get a sense of the bigger picture, and we don't often see that there are things going on everywhere, but they don't get, they're not talked about, and it's not making the news. It's like the good, you never hear the good news, right? But people are organizing, and one of the powerful things about maps is that they can make these efforts visible, and they also act as a way for people to connect with each other. So there are two that help us to find other people that are working on similar projects. So this map is actually based on the SocioEco wiki, right? So they have resources there, they have videos, case studies, loads of different examples, and you can kind of go through it there. There's this Clough Jordan Eco Village is on the SocioEco wiki. There's also, I think, now I probably have to give you a little bit of a disclosure, right? So Solid Network is a member of REPEATS Europe, and so, and another cooperative that I'm a part of, there's my name there, right? Another cooperative I'm a member of, Onocella, is a member of REPEATS. So since we're on the wiki, we show up on their map. But they've got some other maps here. You can scroll down, and you see that I'd like to show you this one. And there are a range of different mapping practices, and I think that's something to highlight. At the moment, what we've been doing with the Collaboration for Change map is it's fairly low tech. It's been, there isn't. It was myself and Kevin and people filling out an online form. That's the level of interaction that was going on. It wasn't there. So what I'd like to show you here, this is PAMAPAM, and PAMAPAM is a mapping project from in Catalonia, in Spain, and one of the really great things about PAMAPAM, well, maybe the first thing you can see is that it's Catalonia specific, this map. But one of the really nice things about this is it maps the solidarity economy, but the mapping is done by volunteer groups. So the project is supported by the local municipality, and it's run through a partnership between the local solidarity economy network, the SHES, and the other organization. I've forgotten the name of the other organization. But one of the nice things about PAMAPAM is that these little points, I don't know what I could find on the map that might be nice. And these little points on the map they're put on the map by volunteer groups. So there's volunteer groups of they call them chinchetas. They're basically mappers that meet up in localities, and they will say, okay, hey, we live in this neighborhood in Poblesec, right? And we're going to make sure that we map. Our task is to map the initiatives in Poblesec, and so people will contact them, and the volunteer mappers will go and they'll do an interview, and they'll do an interview, and they'll ask them about, on a range of different criteria. They'll ask them about how, are you democratically managed? What's your interest or concern around ecological issues, whether recycling? What about equality? What about an inclusion, right? Do you have a feminist perspective? And not every, some will be really great on the food systems. Others will be great on sort of community involvement and democratic processes. But the idea is, we're not all perfect, but we can learn from each other and from the practices and each other's practices. But but anyway, one of the nice things about this mapping project is that volunteer element, that there's groups going around and maintaining it and updating it on a regular basis. Another, I don't want to spend too long on this because I know I'm going to be flying through time. There's another great example here, which is Transiscope, which is mainly based in France, but you know, it's just to show you briefly another example where you can see that you can see this loads of initiatives that they've mapped, and what kind of makes this Transiscope interesting is that it's got multiple sources. It has a lot of different mapping sources, and it links them and brings them together. And it's able to do that because these maps share some common criteria, right? A kind of common set of language that these different groups use. So you're able to go down through them, and you can say, look, let's just look at transition networks, or we want to look at this other groups and things like that. So you can zoom in there. I don't know who's here in Ireland. There's a few transition groups on this map, from Galway. Derry, what's Derry doing there? But yeah, so but one of the things that makes this kind of map possible is that it's linking different maps, different data sets, right? So there's different groups who decided to share their mapping data. Okay, so I just wanted to show you that briefly, and I'll jump on to so you know, it's been really interesting over the last few years to look at these different examples and take some inspiration. And myself and Kevin Murphy and Ed Galligan, who we were working with as well, we were looking at these examples when we started thinking about what we would do for the Collaboration for Change map. Okay, so back to Collaboration for Change, the Collaboration for Change map. So if you go to Collaboration for Change, you'll find the website, and you click on get on the map, and this is what you see. I actually cannot tell you off the top of my head how many pins are there, how many initiatives are there, because when I've got a little bit of work to do to confirm that, but nevertheless, what you can do is you can find a project. I wonder if we go to Derry here. Are we able to find Collaboration for Change in Derry? I hope so.
I actually can't remember if we put Collaboration for Change up there.
Yeah,
because we're based right across Ireland. That's the thing about the map, though.
it is.
You know that
Yeah.
say we're sort of all Ireland, but you have to pin yourself somewhere. So it's kind of
yeah, it's true. There's a geographic sort of bias, but you can see here, if I click on any of these, you know, the Incredible Edible Forest, we collected different kinds of data. We have, you know, a short description, a contact, a name, even a phone number, website, just basic contact data there. And also we have different layers on the map. So depending on the kind of interests that people have, some might be more involved in political projects, some more economic, some more socially oriented, some kind of community based, and some are sort of more environmental. So we have these different categories. So I'm just going to show you how we gathered that data. So if you're on the website, you scroll down, you click Get on the Map, and that would bring you to here, right? Which is it's a Google form, and the Google form sort of outlines the values of collaboration for change and the map. Sort of it explains what it's about. But we're also kind of concerned about data sharing. So we were attentive to things like GDPR and stuff like that. So I'm actually going to show you. So this is what you'll get, and you scroll down. There's a little privacy statement about collecting data, and we have our sort of core values. You know, a commitment to equal decision making. So very much around participatory democracy and these sort of ideas. We're actively opposed to forms of oppression. Commitment to ecological sustainability. Working in, you know, the groups in the map are committed to are interested in working in solidarity with others, and have a commitment to transforming economic systems to a system that serves people and planet. And actually, Colm, I don't know if any of this seems kind of familiar to you, but when we were doing this map, we actually took myself and Kevin were taking some inspiration from your work with the around when you on your website in the Solidarity Economy Association, and we really, you know, we really found this was just a great frame for us. So there's a lot in common here with the work that you're doing around.
You'll hear from our lawyers very soon then.
The copyright. So I just show you a little bit more detail. You know, what you would click, you'd fill out the form and you'd click next. And but I can show you the sections here. So you fill it out here, and you know, we collect a person's name, a short description, email, contact, address, things like that, air code or postcode, website, any social media, things like that. We also asked if people would be interested in volunteering as part of a mapping working group, even though at that time we hadn't organized a working group. And we also invited developers. Further down, you can see we asked about the main focus of the projects that wanted to be on the map, and you can see here that those categories, right, that we saw earlier on the map, right? We could use them as filters. We had an environment category, economy, politics, community, and the social category. I think Bridget, one thing that we probably could do is add a little bit more detail and explanation about this to the Collaboration for Change webpage about the map. That's something that we could do. But that was, if I go back here, you remember what I'm talking about was these categories here, right? So people were able to put themselves into the different categories. What happens when people fill that out? It goes to a spreadsheet. It goes to a spreadsheet like this, and the next step, it was manual. So the next step then is that Kevin Murphy, who was mostly doing this, was manually copying and pasting the data into UMap, right? This is the platform that we used, and so this is he was kind of transferring it in here. He was able to edit it. He did tell me he found. I think he did find a way to import a CSV, so you could import. You know, he didn't have to do everything one by one, but it was a manual process nonetheless. Okay, I realize that I'm trying to just fly through this. There's another element that I wanted to mention, but I'm kind of conscious I want to pass things on to pass you over to Colm. But just to say it briefly, this what was very important for us was to be using open tools and open data, because it means that that you know it other people can build on the work that we're doing, and we can share it, and hopefully it'll have a long life, and it'll continue to be useful, and it also allows people to update it. That was the idea. One of the things that you can see, this UMap, you can see there, it's based on, it's like a layer that's on top of OpenStreetMap. And if we go into OpenStreetMap, one of the things I proposed for the work group is actually working with OpenStreetMap, and you can see that on our map we have this is sort of I just want to sort of illustrate the linked data, right? So disable editing. So here we have Dublin Food Co-op on our map, but it's also on the OpenStreetMap, and we can find it there. We can get a little bit of information about it. We can query it. And because Dublin Food Co-op is on the OpenStreetMap, it's connected. It's sort of this linked open data here. So where is it? I'm supposed to have a, yeah, that's it, right? And you can see that if I scroll down here, it has there's a lot of information already on it, the website and things like that. But it's also on, it's also linked to Wikidata, which is the database for, it's the database for Wikipedia, to just put it simply. And there's also the link to the Wikipedia page. So that's something, I think, that's sort of an additional thing that would be nice to do, is to sort of link the sort of this small data that we have with the broader semantic internet, right? Which is the open data internet, right? So that we could it's another way of projects being made visible and shown. So I just wanted to mention that briefly. Anyway, I realize I'm talking too much, and I'd like to pass you on to Colm. I'm going to stop sharing here. Sorry, Colm. Don't worry, we have plenty of time anyway. So
the more you say, the less I've got to say. So it's fine. So did you give me permission to share?
Yeah, I how do I do that now? Report. I have to go up, find it there. Colm.
While you're doing that, yeah. So yeah, I'm Colm Massey. Yeah, I'm from Dublin, but I've been living over in England for as long as I can remember now. I'm in Oxford, and I'm part of the Solidarity Economy Association, which is a small sort of collective cooperative that promotes the solidarity economy in the UK and brings and connects it up with the solidarity economy in other parts of the world. And I'm also, and Solidarity Economy Association has in partnership with another organization, created something called Digital Commons, which I'll tell you about now shortly. Cool. So I can share now.
Yeah, you should be able. You should be able to share.
Let's see if we can find. Let's try that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that working?
Yeah. Yes, it is.
Great. Yes. So wear my two hats: the SEA and Digital Commons. So as long as my keyboard behaves, which it's not doing. Why is it not? There we go. It's getting ahead of itself. Yeah, so got to see two hats. So the Solidarity Economy is association. We used to do all our mapping work within the Solidarity Economy Association, but we've now sort of spun out this new cooperative. So if you want to talk about, if you're interested in contacting me about the Solidarity Economy in general, there's one email, and the other one is if you want to talk about maps. Yeah, so the Solidarity Economy Association, yes, is a mission-led cooperative, promoting kind of to build a solidarity economy in the UK. And when we started, the term solidarity economy was hardly even understood in the UK. It's still kind of frequently misunderstood, but we're working to try and improve that. And everything is really slow, and it's just not. There we go. Yeah, so we're promoting the solidarity economy by kind of education, and so encouraging organizations to sort of participate in the solidarity economy. And we do this in a variety of ways, from sort of educational websites to running workshops for cooperatives, to actually sort of building solidarity campaigns with organizations in other parts of the world, and yeah, supporting and helping build tools for grassroots organizations that are trying to respond to the multiple crises that we face. Yeah, so the solidarity economy, I'm not going to get into a definition about it, but essentially it's not just about cooperatives, and not all cooperatives, I would say, are part of the solidarity economy. There are many organizations which call themselves cooperatives that actually, are busily actually destroying the planet, and so just being a cooperative isn't enough to be in the solidarity economy. But one key thing I did want to mention is that sort of we see the solidarity economy as connecting cooperatives in with other social movements. To be part of the solidarity economy, you have to sort of see yourself as part of a bigger movement for social and ecological change. Yeah, so the projects that we are involved in, so a big part of our international solidarity work is through something called Cooperation Mesopotamia, where we build links between cooperatives in Europe and in so the Kurdish parts of mainly Syria. So if people don't know, kind of in the north at the moment now, just in the northeast of Syria, there's an amazing cooperative movement underway. So we support primarily the women's movement part of that, and you can find that on a website called mesopotamia.coop. Unfortunately, there's no link to it there, but maybe I could put the link in later on. We do workshops under something called Transforming the Co-op Movement, where we take cooperatives and explain to them how help them see where they fit into the history of the cooperative movement. Because often co-ops, they don't really know how the origins of the cooperative movement in their own country and how they fit into the historical flows. We've got a mutual aid website we're about to launch soon, and we've just recently launched something called the Solidarity Economy Organisers Network, which is attempting to build a kind of Black and working class led solidarity economy network in the UK. And yeah, Digital Commons is the new thing where we're doing all our mapping work. So we used to do mapping within it, called the Open Data and Mapping Project, but now we've hooked up with another organization called Shared Assets, who are a commons movement, land-based commons movement organization, and together we're pooling our mapping technologies into a new cooperative. Yeah. So hold on, someone's telling me to come for my dinner. Hold on, I didn't realize I'm talking on. Sorry, hailed for my dinner. So yeah, so the Shared Assets, what they have is a product called Land Explorer, And that's all about helping community groups, local growers, find land and understand more about the land around them for their community projects. Yeah, so it helps them display information about the land around you, and also helps you do things like kind of draw out plans for where you might want to put a community orchard, projects like that. And our work, kind of that we brought to this collaboration, is very closely aligned with the project that Kevin showed, the Transform app, or Transformador. I cover now. There's too many different versions of it, but the is it Transformadora?
Transiscope.
Transiscope. That's it. Yes. Yeah. So alongside Kevin, so we've been interested in mapping the solidarity economy for quite a few years now, and have met the Transiscope folks on a few occasions. So there's a bit of a sort of a Anglosphere, Francosphere kind of parallel bit of work going on, which we do need to connect better. So there are a lot of similarities between some of the approaches we've taken and their approach. And what is good about our approach, kind of to help. So we've been sort of developing best practice for digital mapping of the solidarity economy, and one of the key things is that basically the approach we're taking can work on multiple levels. So it can work on sort of community mapping. So this here is a map of a project in Liverpool. So Mersey Green map is called. So it's used by local organisers to map their solidarity economy around the Mersey. But we also use the exact same technology for working with the International Cooperative Alliance, who are the World Federation of Cooperatives. So basically, we also map cooperatives for them. So we host the World Cooperative map for the International Cooperative Alliance. So that's basically, it's their members. So it's the 300 sort of biggest cooperatives in the world are we members of the ICA. So we use the same tech for mapping the local Liverpool projects, as well as the big world level cooperatives. And also, this is another map we do for .coop, the people who host the .coop domain. So we work closely with them as well. In fact, they're probably going to join our cooperative very soon. What's next? Then, so a key thing about the mapping technology that we propose is it's sort of language independent. So the way we model data about cooperatives and solidarity economy initiatives is sort of independent of language. So any of the maps that we do, any of the data that we collect, if you want to then display it in a different language, it's very straightforward. So we could do a map Oscailga with considerable ease. We just need someone to translate. I think it's about 80-90 terms to get them translated into a spreadsheet. They can just be integrated. And what's nice is that the data is the same. So basically, you could do your filters and your statistics on worker cooperatives, regardless of whether it was spelled Oscailga or in English or Korean. So that's an important part of the design of the work we've done. So the differences, so we're built on open source technology, common data standards, and the thing on the bottom there, safe space for sharing. So I'll try and get back to that now in a second. I'm not going to talk too much about the linked data because Kevin touched on that, but basically we use linked open data as the basis for everything we do. It has a whole range of benefits by doing that. I think maybe if folks are interested, we can come back to looking at some of these slides, but I think there's quite a lot of detail in in talking about the different types of open data licensing that one could choose. So the linked data doesn't have to have an open license. You could use linked data for private data, but I think the projects that we promote have open licenses as well as using the linked data. So yes, so I'm going to just repeat it. Yeah, so the technology works at multiple scales, kind of from the, as you can see, the PanaPan I've also used up in the top right. That's the same. No, that's not. It looks very like it, doesn't it? I think they've chosen the same color scheme as PanaPan, but that's actually Manchester. But yeah, so it's important that when you're publishing data about projects, kind of you only want to pull your regional data into your big sectoral data sets for European levels, or that's another slide about linked data, which we can come back to. Yeah, so this is a visualization of that. So when we publish data about cooperatives, because we publish as linked data, they then basically join the big sort of semantic web of data. So what's interesting about this, you can do some very, very interesting database queries. So we did one query where we could identify all of the competitors to a cooperative within 5 kilometers by connecting to a government database about the sort of business categories of the cooperative, and the Ordnance Survey had also published information in linked data format. So by connecting them together, you can do very interesting database queries to find out lots of interesting characteristics of your cooperative. One of the complexities when you trying to basically connect databases together is using different terms. So myself and Kevin have done quite a bit of work and scratching heads, and we were on the issue of kind of aligning different ways of describing the same organization. So for example, here on the left is a list of all the sort of categories that the Co-ops UK, so the UK Federation of Co-ops, how they qualify the activities, the primary economic activity of a cooperative. Or on the right, it's the International Cooperative Alliance, and the categories that they organize. So when they're categorizing their members, they use a smaller set to describe. So this is something that you got to think about a lot when you're basically setting up your own a new mapping. How do the terms that you use to describe your members, how do they connect? How do they fit in with how other people describe their organizations? And if you do it well, it'll be easier for you to share data with each other. So I'm looking at 8 minutes to go. So these are kind of advanced features that we haven't implemented yet, but requesting updates. So basically keeping data up to date on cooperatives, on projects is really challenging. So we're proposing, particularly when you're doing it with when the data is coming from different sources. So we have some interesting approaches to automating or semi-automating keeping data up to date for when you have sort of the data about a cooperative or solidarity initiative sitting in different databases. So we've got some ideas on how we can improve that. And one thing we're keen to also start mapping is relationships between cooperatives. So this year we will also supporting organizations, kind of expressing how they work with other cooperatives in their networks. That's just similar to the Transiscope. Yeah, so our system allows you to load multiple sources to the same map. So here's here's an Oxford-based project where we have 1, 2, 3, yeah, so six different sources of data about solidarity economy initiatives in Oxford, all pulled together. And yeah, lots more one can do with these tools. And one thing said about sharing. So we think it's important to have spaces where people can pool their data. So so we're forming a sort of a multi-stakeholder cooperative called Digital Commons, so that the people who are whose data we're helping to sort of promote and to publish, they also will be able to join the cooperative. So we sort of believe it's very important to, if you're going to be kind of responsible for people's data, they should have the right to kind of join your organization. So so your organizations could join Digital Commons in the future if that was of interest to you. There we go. That's enough. Hope that was interesting enough.
Great, thanks very much, Colm. Yeah, it's hold on, I'm gonna
a whirlwind.
Yeah, it's a whirlwind. I mean, it's a huge amount of work, and yeah, I highly recommend folks that are here. I recommend when you've got a little bit of time to take a look at the Colm's the website of the Solidarity Economy Association, and you can get a just to explore a little bit some of the mapping projects that they've done, to explore it in your own time as well, and just to get a sense of how it works. But I think one of the interesting things is how it, at least for me, is how it is this element of how it scales, how maps scale, how we can work on community level maps, but that they're able to interact and connect with other maps and that people are working on. Colm, you mentioned the, oh my God, you mentioned how you can actually connect these mapping projects with other linked data, like open government linked data and things like that. So it can also be useful for doing collaborative research projects, where you can look at our solidarity economy projects or mutual aid projects and initiatives, are they in how are they distributed in a city or in a locality, right? Are there initiatives in deprived areas, or what kinds of initiatives are in sort of more well-to-do areas and things like that? So it's a very interesting research tool as well. So more or less the proposal, just to kind of open up to a few questions. The proposal, I have two proposals over the next while, and the first one is that I'm going to be working with Collaboration for Change and Solid Network to sort of get the conversation around mapping going again, to start updating the map as it is. And what I'd like to do is I'd like to invite anyone here who's interested in taking part in that. I'd like to start a kind of working group, and that working group could meet. I mean, it could be 2 or 3 people, could meet bi-monthly, just very, very easy, and just as to develop our own mapping skills and knowledge and practice. So that's one part of it, and to sort of let it grow like that. And then the other part is the second part of the proposal is is to actually develop a collaboration with Column and the Solidarity Economy Association to really take the mapping work that we've done and to develop it more, you know, to really get the technical aspect of that just up a level, right? So that we can start to connect maps and you know, connect communities and get them to, you know, get them interacting and talking to each other. So that's the other part of so there's those two parts of the proposal there. But anyway, yeah, good to open up for a few questions. So yeah, you're very welcome to chime in if we've got any questions. I'd also be just curious to hear about your own experience of mapping, right? And your own interest in mapping. You know, if you're comfortable to share that. What do we have? Do we have a few questions? Oh, still sharing screen. Oh, Colin, you have to stop sharing the screen.
There you go.
Sorry. Yeah. So Colette had to go. Take back the city map. Yeah, there's some great maps out there. There was, that's the one in Belfast, isn't it?
That's right.
Yeah.
When I was working, Kevin, many years ago, we had a GIS department. I used to work for the housing executive, and they were able to layer data onto different places, and it was absolutely jaw-dropping when you started to actually see socioeconomic data, for example, drop into cheek by jowl, different areas, and I suppose right from there, that's where I got an interest in what maps could do. And I believe certain police forces used them to see, oh, crimes happened in this location at that time, when they started to load stuff on. It's just, I think it's fascinating. I know nothing about the technical background of it, but I went to a presentation. The chaps were doing that Take Back the City one. And again, it was just the layering of one data set on top of the other, so that ordinary folk could see where there's open space, you know, where they could, who they could approach. They're layering on owners and all sorts of data in that one. And when you mentioned about research and supporting activism, I thought, well, that's, you know, that might be of interest to folk. But the purpose of this is it's more to link people. Is it in the first instance, as opposed to maybe taking data sets from I don't know, other bodies. You know, the first steps in this, the aim is to highlight existing groups and let them know of each other. Am I right, or is it more ambitious again than that?
I think it's no, but there's different kinds of mapping practice, and I would say that on, you know, because at the moment we've been working, this has been sort of volunteer led, very small group using free tools, and really it's just about getting the minimum data and the minimum participation and making something visible. So it is, you know, it is a tool for making visible the people that are taking part and connected with Collaboration for Change, and helping them to be able to recognize each other, right, in a geography and things like that, right? And that's the that's the same kind of thing I'd like to do with Solid Network, right? We're going to have a member directory, but it helps. Sometimes people join, they don't realize that we have some members or some projects that are in the same locality, and it just helps them to kind of go, all right, I see that there's other groups going that are doing that, and if I go to an event that's connected with this group or project, you know, we know that we're part of the same network and things like this. So it can work on work on that level. But I have to say, it was I was really quite impressed with. I spent some time with PAMAPAM when I was the project in Catalonia, and I have to say I was quite impressed with these volunteer groups that were organizing in different neighborhoods, doing interviews and things like that. And now, like PAMAPAM is, you know, it's a project in its own right. It has its own budget. It has, you know, there's people who are, you know, working, whether it's part-time, on a part-time basis, you know, part-time or full-time to manage it. But it's really quite exciting that they've got, you know, this community of volunteers who are quite passionate about making sure the map is up to date and checking in with people, and they go in. It's quite a detailed interview, you know, and they also make that personal connection by meeting face to face. Actually, I wonder. I haven't asked them about how they manage things during the pandemic. It's been a while since I talked to them, but normally they've been doing things face to face. Yeah, but things, it's, so there's different practices. There's also, you know, there's a lot of people who do these like workshops, like a weekend workshop where you get everybody together, and it's about having the conversation about, you know, what is the common language, the typologies, you know, what are the things that are of value for us in the community, you know, and going through a relational process. And I don't see any reason why those practices or those kinds of like meetings and events and activities can't be part of you know what we're doing with the collaboration for Change Map. I think it can be. I think that meeting, connecting is really kind of a vital part of building community and getting people engaged in what it's about. And certainly that's the kind of approach I would have with Solid Network. And there is a technical element to it for sure. But yeah, anyway, I don't know, Colin, I don't know, does anybody else? I'll keep talking, and I know time is going on and I never shut up.
Well, yeah, well, it's I think when it's both sort of a social thing, and if it's this should be, it's a tool for actual real world organizing. So making real links and getting real collaborations happening between organizations is what the mapping should be kind of leading to. So yeah, kind of we've run kind of really fun sort of map jams where you get, yeah, it's a social gathering, and you start, it's very low tech, and you have post-its on a big 2-meter square map of your community. And you do that before you do anything digital. I think on the PAMAPAM is that helps with the quality. So keeping kind of, it's easy for a project to get diluted very quickly. So if a mapping project gets popular, everyone wants to get on there. And before you know it, you have projects on there that you wouldn't identify as actually upholding the values that you wanted to capture in your mapping project. So PAMAPAM take that very seriously. So, you know, if there's something on the PAMAPAM map, you know, it's going to be, it'll uphold the values that you want. Where if you go to the Co-ops UK map of, you'll find all sorts of organizations that, you wouldn't dream of wanting to bring your trade to or join. So it's we're quite different.
Keeping that integrity is important, isn't it? And I suppose the form that we've got up on the website, you know, that sets up the values and tries to get people to sign up to them. But it's not foolproof because, you know, people can tick the box and they, you know, we have no way of knowing if they are or aren't. So we haven't been that strict about what we've put up there so far, you know, pretty much a lot of the groups that are there, we sort of know them anyway, and we know what they're about. But if we were to grow this the way we want to grow it, and there were more people up there, I think we would have to have a process for, I don't know, filtering them, or you know, identifying some kind of way to see whether we actually wanted them there or not. So it could be interviews, or it could be, you know, maybe we know another group locally that might know them, and they could be able to, they might be able to tell us, look, that group's really sound or that group's not. You know, we probably have to do that. But so far we haven't had that problem that you're talking about. But we would like to have that problem, because that would mean that we were like, you know, really popular and getting loads of people wanting to be on the map. That's what we want to get to. But it's important that that's managed.
Yeah, that's right. That's the way to look at it.
Yeah, I mean, so maybe hopefully we can, you know, this is like our first meeting, right, in a way, you know, of you know, of this sort of working group, right? So hopefully well, not hopefully, what I'll do is I'll probably email around, and if any just to check in with people if they're interested in following up at some stage. And I'm going to be working on the mapping thing anyway, and with Bridget as well, and I'm going to and Colin. So so we'll definitely be continuing the work that we're doing. So I'd just like to, yeah, it's probably good moment to wrap things up. And so just to thank you all for coming along this evening. It's just a few of us here at this stage.